if you're outside of home services, there's a business software called an ERP, which is an enterprise resource planner. Use it in like manufacturing or retail stores, and it tracks inventory, it tracks sales, and it sort of tracks the whole customer journey and really optimizing around data. And the best way to describe ServiceTitan is essentially that. Because when you talk about like a CRM, like CRMs are customer relationship managers, and CRMs just have customer data. We have that. But it's also a dispatching method. It's how we track our technicians' timesheets, so we do payroll on it. We run almost our entire accounting process through ServiceTitan. Most of our marketing data comes from ServiceTitan. So it really touches every single department in the business. And that's probably, like when I think about the big differentiator between ServiceTitan and other products out there, most of them are just CRMs, where they have like the customer's data and like maybe a light dispatch board, process a credit card or something like that, but they don't have enough data for you to rip. So they don't know, you can't pull as in-depth reporting on basically every line item. You can't track equipment age. You can't track technicians' options or their close rates or, customer data to find out who's current and who's lapsed and maybe why have they lapsed. So ServiceTitan, it's much more of you have to think about it a little bit more robustly because it does cover every single department in the business. So almost our entire business runs inside ServiceTitan. Every single team lives inside ServiceTitan every day. And there's actually only a few people that have access to softwares outside of ServiceTitan because we've been able to so robustly put everybody inside there. Yeah, so marketing's in it for customer data, equipment age, to be able to target customers and target old equipment. CSRs are in it, obviously, to schedule. Dispatch is in it to schedule. Techs are in it to price and schedule. All the managers are in it for reporting, for scheduling, for price book changes, whatever is involved there. Accounting lives in it because that's where people pay their bills. So really every department. And HR is in it for payroll and timekeeping. So pretty much touches every part of the business. The answer to that is ServiceTitan. That said, there's like others inside there that have to be brought up. So ServiceTitan, like a customer calls in and they call in through AirCall, which is our voice over IP service, our VoIP. The VoIP is hooked up to ServiceTitan, which, call comes in, we pick it up in the voice over IP, and it also rings inside ServiceTitan and pulls up that customer's data. So already you have two softwares tied in. We get the information and we use capacity planning and sometimes a software called Schedule Engine, which helps us basically pick out the right spots, and we use it for online booking. So that's another one. And what they do is it has an online scheduler that books directly in. So somebody could be on our website and they decide to book an appointment now. So that would be skipping the voiceover call. And they would schedule through Schedule Engine to land inside ServiceTitan. Everything ends in ServiceTitan. We book the call and we start to head out there, and all the communication intercompany is done with Slack. So, technician, automatically the job gets put onto their iPad for ServiceTitan, so they just pull it up and they start working through it. They communicate back and forth with Slack. There's another software that helps update customers' data pretty regularly. So once the technician gets out there, we have a software called Faraday. And what they do is we take pictures of data plates and it uses AI to read them and turn it into data to store inside our ServiceTitan so that we can send targeted marketing to those customers based on the age of their equipment. So that is a powerful software that's really helpful. And that's when the technician gets out there, he does his thing. We use Pricebook Pro for our pricing, and that's a ServiceTitan product. When we're on site, our customers are using GoodLeap for financing. So that's a software that's on our phones, and they can just apply it right there. And that has to be most of it. And then there's a review follow-up through Podium. So Podium does automated review follow-ups. Now, we did just get on Chirp, and Chirp is supposed to take a bunch of that off. Really, there's probably 30 softwares from like beginning of customer's journey to end of customer's journey, and then like reigniting that customer's journey. So each team has their own stack, and ServiceTitan's the base of all of it, where like everything sort of ends up. But everything has its own stack in the meantime. So call center, they have AirCall, and they have Avoca, which is AI coaching for our call takers. And then they have Slack, and they have Chirp and Front, which those last two are customer communications for like ongoing customers or SMS or something like that, email. It all goes into the drop boxes through Chirp in front. Technicians are going to use GoodLeap. They're going to use ServiceTitan. They're going to use Slack religiously. There's a bunch of other ones they use for like measuring or ordering or whatever, but those are the big ones. And then marketing obviously has their own stack as well to help make sure that we can deliver after the fact. And that's going to be the Faradays of the world. That's going to be Chirp again. It's going to be Arifs. We use a software called DataCube, and DataCube takes the data off of ServiceTitan and reformats it in a way that makes a little bit more sense. They basically take scorecards off of ServiceTitan and they put it public. So we have our sales guys, their data is up on the wall, the customer service is up on the wall, the company score for the day, for the week, for the month is up on the wall, installs up on the wall. We have a bunch of different stuff up there. So that's DataCube, and it takes all the information straight out of ServiceTitan and basically reformats it in a way that makes a little bit more sense, because ServiceTitan, depending on like how you're using it, won't spit out exactly what you need all in one little dashboard. So this dashboard is meant to help. The things that we have up there are going to be sold hours or revenue month to date or revenue year to date. It's going to have closing rate, number of opportunities. Those are the big ones. It's really just like, what are the 4 or 5 most important things that you want to measure your techs by? And that's what we put up there. We also do the same thing for call centers. So they have their inbounds, their outbounds, their booking percentage, their number of calls taken, their minutes on the phone. Those are all our big measurements for that team to determine whether or not we're doing a good job. I would say, like, for the most part, technology is kind of a distraction. It's really easy to try to add a new software or process that didn't need to be added in the first place. And like sometimes Excel does it. I would say like our full use of ServiceTitan, like using the existing one we have, has been really big. We're seeing some really promising early results with AI call center coaching. So I think in the next couple of years, that will be one of the biggest. The big thing that we're still like working on is we have all this data. What do you do with it? So, ServiceTitan really is like a data capture. It's a data dump for 100,000 homes in Northeast Ohio. So you have all this information. You've got names, addresses, phone numbers, you have data plates, you have pictures of water heaters, you have all this stuff. And what do you do with it? That's one of the bigger opportunities that we're working on right now, and Faraday helps with that a lot. So I think that's that and Chirp. So I really think we're probably early stages in some of the next biggest, where we're learning how to use our existing data better. Chirp is another example, like Faraday, where we have all this data. How do we best use it? So we think Chirp can help with that. But over the past 4 years, I'd really just say learning how to use ServiceTitan more is how we got here. Like, we learned how to do scorecarding, we learned how to do price books, we learned how to do all that stuff. Like Slack was a big one, but we're about 4 years into Slack. It would be hard to replace Slack now because it's such a big part of our business. Like, we have a lot going through there. But I don't know if that was something that moved us forward or it just made it a little bit easier to talk. We set up a bunch of automations through Slack, so it would be difficult to replace Slack now because it's an integral part of our work. It's not just like a group chat. It's like we have thousands of automations a month, like automated events that happen a month through our Slack. So we set up all these apps to like, hey, if this happens, then this triggers this, this, and this. And that could be like somebody requesting funds for their credit cards, and it goes into Slack and notifies the managers, or someone doing a PO for an OpEx purchase, or our fleet repair is an automated thing through Slack, or how we order from warehouses as an automated thing through Slack. Like, it is a deep, integral part of our business. 100%. Like, if ServiceTitan went down, that is an existential risk to our business. That would be a real problem. I take solace in the fact that it's an existential risk for almost my entire industry. No one would be able to run if ServiceTitan didn't run at this point. It would only be small guys. I mean, we could figure something out with Excel or whatever, but it would be, it'd be a lot. I'd say it's been within the last couple of years. So our industry went through like an Uberization in 2014, 2013, somewhere in there. Airbnb and Uber, and those are probably the big ones, Amazon maybe, like disrupted these old business models of taxis and hotels, big businesses. In that same time, there's been a war for home service over the past decade. And that's looked a lot of different ways. And this isn't a small market. I think people think of home service as like nuanced or something, but home service is fucking huge. You know, like Google makes a ton of money off home service. Angie's List and Home Advisor, all they do is home service, and those are publicly listed companies. All they do is sell leads to home service contractors. Really, over the past decade, this home service industry has come into its own, and it happened in a couple different ways. Like, one, it got more attention from big tech. So big tech really started honing in. That's going to be your Angie's List, your Home Advisors, your Google with their LSA product. And then more software started appearing, like ServiceTitan. What ended up happening is, about 8 years ago, there were incumbent players in every market that were big, like my size big, in a time where there was a lot less tech. And, 8 to 10 years ago, most of those companies were still running paper processes or very light tech processes. Disruption was kind of easy, but it was also slow. So it didn't look like Airbnb, where it sort of happened fast and caught momentum, because it's not engaging the public. People talk about Uber and Airbnb, but no one's talking about the software their plumber runs on. Over the next 8 years, it got bigger and better and bigger and better, and the companies that were using it got bigger and better. The average company size in my industry now is multiples as large as it used to be 8 years ago because of tech. Because you can centralize lead flow. You can invest in leads in a way that you couldn't 3 years ago, 4 years ago. ServiceTitan, we used to walk into businesses that had 2 or 3 times the amount of headcount in their office as we do now, because everything was paper. Like, I can't imagine running my business on paper right now. That would be insane. I would probably need 30 more staff members. So tech sort of became, it's a lever. Tech is it's a lever to move bigger things easier. So as tech got better, companies got bigger. So, people have made jokes that, like, holy smokes, when did the industry get so big? And it's like the industry really didn't get big. It's just like people got, like, 1 or 2 companies got a lot bigger, and then they were using ServiceTitan, and then they just continued to get bigger because the tech advantage is very real. Like, I have more data than most of my competitors. I have more customers than most of my competitors. I have more performance metrics, so we can get better every day. So it lets you incrementally improve. So really, we're back to when did they homogenize? It's really been in the last 3 or 4 years that it caught big, where now everyone's pretty much on it. The last giant holdouts have been moving, but it's been over the last 7, 8 years. It's been a slow disruption. But now at this point, if you're good, you're on it. If you're growing, you're on it. I think a lot of our pain points come around reporting. Reporting is still a very manual process. Making it easier would save us hundreds of hours a week. And we've invested a lot into making it easier, but we still aren't quite there. And reporting could be anything. It could be what was my number of phone calls? What was my dollars collected? What was my whatever? And it's getting all this disparate data into one or 2 things. Now, there's solutions out there, but the APIs are always broken, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So that would be one. Another one, honestly, tech probably does have most of the answers for the problems we have right now. It's just finding ways to use it. AI has been really interesting. We started using AI 6, 7 months ago, and now it's ingrained in most of the functions of our business. So that's been really interesting, and that's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. It gets used, started off in marketing, but then we started using it in accounting, then in HR. Now we're in call center, and soon we'll be adding it to technicians. Actually, we already did a couple months ago, but soon we're going to be adding it deeper into technicians. So I think we're just scratching the surface there, and I think a lot of this is back to reporting for performance management and just general coaching. I think we will have that sort of magical solution soon.